Hello and welcome to a Taylor's Tales podcast. This is Chris's Corner. I'm your host, Chris Taylor, and welcome to a brand new episode. This week, Happy New Year. Welcome to 2022. For me, this is all about talking about a podcast about the best parts of 2021 and also just New Year's resolutions, how we can make this year as positive as we could out of last year, looking to the future, and also using the past as a reflection and as a way for us to also understand what we can do better in the new year. I do love thinking about resolutions. For me personally, I'm more of a day-to-day person. I don't know about yourself, but for me personally, I find it best to set myself daily goals. It doesn't matter whether I can't get them all done, but having a set of 10 daily goals, for me personally, that works well. Having New Year's resolutions, they are fantastic. For instance, I set myself a goal last year of running 1,000 miles. I hit that target. I got exactly 1,000 miles for 2021, and it made me extremely proud of myself, to say the least. And it was one of those New Year's resolutions that I had to hit with the ground running. No pun intended. But, you know, with this idea, this momentum of having the consistency. So if we are going to talk about that ability to get New Year's resolutions done, you have to have that mindset, that desire to truly want to get it done in the first place. If you want to quit smoking, you must not smoke. And I know that sounds really simplistic, but you also associate yourself as a non-smoker. You should say to yourself, I am a non-smoker. The same way I say to myself, I am a runner. I'm not just a runner. I'm the best runner I can be. I am the best runner in my life. I am the fastest man in my life. I am the fastest person in my life. And by saying these positive affirmations, no matter how cheesy they are, or how much BS you feel like you're telling yourself, you're going to give yourself a little bit of a serotonin boost. You're going to feel a little bit, up and the shoulders are up, you're shaking about a little bit, and you're feeling that positivity, and you're feeling like you can take on the world. And that's what these are about. For me personally, I love the fact that we have New Year's resolutions. I love that I can see people wanting to progress, because that's what it is. That's the truth right there. We all have this initial want or need to improve who we are. It is set within us. It is something quite beautiful about being human beings, is that we know that we are not perfect and therefore we can improve. And that's within everyone. And I love that about us. I think I was reading recently, rereading 12 Rules of Life, An Antidote to Chaos. And in one of the sections, Jordan Peterson compared the beginning of Adam and Eve with how they realized that they were naked, that they were bare to the world, and that their nakedness and imperfections were a realization, but they were also something they could use to understand that they themselves need to look after those imperfections, that they themselves are not perfect, and therefore they have the ability to be better and to look after themselves and to understand the negativity is not with you forever. It is something you can work with. So I think for me personally, I want you guys, I hate that. One thing I've realised as well, whenever I'm talking to the camera, I know this is a little bit of a tangent, but the phrase "you guys," I've heard it so many times on YouTube now, but I'm starting to hate myself for doing it because I hear it in other people. So I'm going to try and refer to you as you from now on, rather than saying that phrase. So I will try my best to keep my vocabulary on the expanding front, rather than referring to the same audience members in a certain tone of manner. So tangent ended on that one, but I thought I'd address that annoyance. Maybe that could be one of my New Year's resolutions, not to say you guys on any podcast. That's a goal. There you go. There's one. I will start with that as a simplistic, but something that would provide me with a little bit of positive feedback on that one. So yes, that's enjoyable right there. Moving on to the next sort of subject I want to tackle. How was 2021 for you? For me, it was a roller coaster ride. It was a little bit of ups and downs in multiple places. And for me personally, I think for a lot of the world, it was a lot of uncertainty. And that uncertainty didn't allow you to make that maximum potential. So what I have come up with, and I don't know if this is going to work for you, but it seems to have worked for me, is create some habits that can be done anywhere. So for me personally, one of my favourite things to do is travel. Traveling can't be done in all scenarios currently due to COVID. I can do the best I can. I can do the best with the finances I have, with the money I have, and with the savings that I have occurred through the hard work that I've put in and through the money that I've saved. However, we can't tell the future. We don't have that uncertainty. That is a subject or a habit that is uncertain and may not have the ability to do so. While it does generate me a lot of joy and love and happiness, it may not be sustainable. So, what do we do from there? Well, we come up with habits that are sustainable and are done even within these uncertain times. So what have I learned from 2021? Well, my favourite thing that I've learned from 2021 is that my habits that I have created now that I can do anywhere. And those habits, starting with, and you all know this one, is reading. I pride myself on the ability to read and to read lots of different types of book, fantasy, non-fiction, whatever it is, sort of life documentaries, people reflecting on finances. There's such a wide breadth. One of these sections that I haven't tackled yet, and here's another resolution for me, is to look into the environmental side of things. I'd be very interested to read a book on how an individual can tackle the best ways of helping the environment and also understanding it at the same time. So I may look into that, and you can hold me to it by another. So those are two things already. I've already come up with two things on the fly right there just by thinking about it. They're not solid. They're not as solid as the one I'll come up with later, but we'll move on to that. But point being is that the idea of reading can really help you. You can do it anywhere. You have so many resources to read. If you're not personally a reader, I would recommend audiobooks. Everyone recommends audiobooks because they're easy to listen to. Even podcasts, to some extent, have some information that can be provided to you via listening rather than reading. But I do think reading has something better. For me, the physical touch of a book and flipping through the pages, and even the smell for that matter, really has a positive feedback loop for me. So whenever I go back on a daily basis and read my minimum of 10 pages a day every day, I'm back into, by the way, the reading 3 different books on the same day. That is purely because I have a lot of free time at the moment, which is enjoyable, and I'm maximizing my habits, as I've said. So me reading minimum of 10 pages a day every day has allowed me to maximize the books I go through, but also the enjoyment I have of knowing that I've achieved something that day. So think to yourself, just by saying to yourself, you're going to read, even if you say, I'm going to read a page a day, that's 365 more pages than you did last year. It is something that is incomprehensible to most people because they want the big goals. They want the big mountainous goals, that I've climbed a mountain, or I've done a marathon, or I've got a degree. These are goals that need chipping away at. You don't have that in a year sometimes. You can't compound that into 1 year. You need these little success stories that you can refer to on a daily basis, that you say, I did that and I'm proud of myself for doing it. And this is what I'm so happy about seeing in myself, but also in other people over the past few years, is that podcasting and motivational speaking and all of these things, while motivational speaking I'm not as too much of a fan of, it does provide people with some way to push themselves into areas of uncomfortability. Uncomfortability, is that a word? Anyway, point being, reading for me has been one of my habits that I wanted to form. And I have formed it in a way of taking something simple and applying it to my life. So that was number 1. Number 2 for me was writing. I started writing back in March of 2020, and I haven't stopped since. I have written a journal entry nearly every single day since then, and it has allowed me to channel my thoughts because I don't want to feel like I'm opening up too much to the world. I want to have some things that I can hold for me. And this is, in some way or another, yes, it's a little bit secretive, but I think for the goodness of your health and your mental health, you have to hold a few things back and to allow yourself to be able to focus truly on the ideas of getting some of that emotion out of you, because we make a lot of decisions that are emotional and are in the moment, and they can make you feel negative about them later on. So by creating a journal, you can actually retrace your steps back as well and see how you've progressed since that first day of writing, and you can see where you've come from, and you can see the mistakes you've made or the thoughts you've had that have made you feel insecure or uneasy, and you can know that in some days you're going to have bad days and in other days you're going to have fantastic days. And this is the true purpose of a journal, is to be able to empty your mind to some extent and to have that repetition of daily writing. One thing that I found is writing regularly has allowed me to improve how I write and how I express myself. I've realized the words that I use on a regular basis. We've all heard the fact about the use of, we only use 500 words total in the whole English language. I'm pretty sure the total word count for the English language is 500,000 words within the English language. We only use a 500 of them or something crazy like that. It is the repetition of those words reflected in your writing. If you can expand your vocabulary through reading and knowledge, and then you start writing it down, it's going to implement that practice and therefore make you truly be able to express yourself through speaking and through writing. And I truly think that is really important for you to be able to get on with the world, and also for you to feel a little bit, strong in who you are as a person and able to express who you are. I have noticed recently that there's a lot of people I look up to who take pauses to be able to truly think through what they're trying to say. One of which is Elon Musk. He recently did a fantastic podcast with Lex Friedman. I'd recommend it to anyone listening. And he took these moments to just truly think through what he was trying to say before going through it. One of my biggest issues is that I just go whoosh, and it's just ha and all at once. And sometimes it's just good to take that time. I've talked about this before in one of my deleted podcasts that I didn't upload because I had to re-upload it because of the sound quality. But I did say within the podcast that the ability to slow down and not be afraid of the pauses, of the silences, and to truly envelop yourself in the silence, to be able to understand where you're going and to truly connect with your thought process. That's a new skill, and it's a new way of thinking, and it truly makes you feel a little bit more coherent but also powerful in who you are. And I will continue to say the word powerful because you need to reflect by using adjectives about yourself that you want to think of yourself as. If you think you're weak, you will be weak. If you think you're strong, you will be strong. It may be something as simple as that. It's really simplistic stuff that you implement, but it's not like just saying it once. It's about continuously doing it over and over and over again. Anyway, enough about the habit of reading and writing. We'll move on to number 3 for me. As I said, I love languages. I am truly making it a priority of mine to do some time doing languages. What I have found over the last year is that while Duolingo is fantastic for building your vocabulary and getting a basic understanding of a language, it doesn't truly give you the weapons or the arsenal to be able to go out into the world and speak that language. What I would say is my favourite way of learning was through a teacher called Michel Thomas. He is no longer with us, but he has left behind a big collection of CDs that you can listen to that will allow you to truly be able to speak and to be able to use the language that you want. This is why when I was recently in Geneva, French was a lot more applicable because I could form sentences and form general speaking terms for people to understand. and I was able to comprehend some words and some phrases because I'd listened to Michelle. If I'd just done Duolingo, it would have been a lot harder because it doesn't truly give you the conversational part of the language. So what I would recommend, even if you don't want to listen to Michelle Thomas, what I personally find easy may not be applicable to you, but you may find someone who can. And there's always someone out there who's got some content for you to listen to. And there may be a podcast out there that may be speaking in that language. And you may pause and start again to retort to that language. I think the best practice of Michel was the fact that he would get you to pause the audio. You would respond in the language that he's asking you to respond, the question he's asking you in, and then he would come back and repeat the answer that you were supposed to answer with. And therefore you create this fantastic relationship of, I think it's this, I'll give a retort, and then you get the answer back, and you can hear the way it's meant to be heard, the way it's meant to be spoken. And from there, you can truly understand, the back and forth between two people. So one thing I would like to do is I'm going to try and do Spanish with Michelle Thomas, this year, and I will use that to be able to comprehend Spanish in a better way as well. So I am doing French and Spanish. I do like to do multiple things at the same time. I know that's not the best way of learning, but for me personally, I think it keeps my brain whirling at a high speed, and so I'll just switch between the two of them, and I'll get a bit of this and I get a bit of that, and it does, it keeps me excited. Like I said, you want to have this consistency. So for me personally, having that, the Spanish, and then switching over to French, and then switching back to Spanish, it almost creates a really nice rhythm between being able to keep that interest in learning. Because there's nothing worse than, for instance, if you find a book that you're finding really hard to read and you're forcing yourself to read it and you're going all the way in. One thing I have, this is another thing from reading as well from 2021, quit the book. If you find it friggin', so many people I've talked to have said, oh yeah, I forced myself all the way to read this book. And I thought to myself, why? Because I used to do that as well. I was like, I used to force myself to get to the end, and I'd be like, yeah, whatever. I'll never read it again. Those sort of books that you read once, you never read again. Throw them up. Don't even bother reading the whole thing. A lot of people have that, I have to know how it ends clause. Whatever. If you have to, look at the ending. But for me personally, now I've learned is don't waste your time. Time's the asset. Time is everything. Sometimes you have to realise that you have to quit some things in order to maintain that consistent want and need to read. So, I think it applies to languages and writing as well. If you're finding something truly hard and you're not really committed to it, you're gonna find it a lot harder to continue with it, and you may not even feel that full, desire and passion. And I do mean passion, because I think when you've done something, that knowing that you put your heart and soul into it and you truly enjoyed the process, it is passion, it is joy in that. So yeah, reading, writing, languages, I will continue those three. I think those three so far are the foundation of my good habits throughout 2021 and even 2020 for that matter. And will continue to do those, and they keep me sane. Keeps you cognitively wired. I think that's the right way of saying it. Another one is beer. So this is over the Christmas period. I think I had one on Christmas Day, one on New Year's, and one now. And this is the new year. So this will be my first and only beer until my birthday of August of 2022. I don't drink. I have 3 excuses for drinking. I drink on New Year's, I drink on Christmas, and I drink on my birthday. And last year I implemented this on my birthday. Before then I had a total of, I think it was around 3 or 4 beers. And I started to realise to myself that while I do enjoy a good lager, and while it is a treat for me, I want to keep it that way. When I was younger, I abused alcohol. I used it as a way to disconnect from reality. But now I'm wired for reality. I'm wired to be here. And I'm wired in a way that makes me so happy and so joyful in the moment, where it's like, the lows are lower, but the highs are so much higher. And what I found is that with alcohol, what it was doing was giving me a quick access to that happiness, that joy for a second, and it would pull me out, and then I'd go away, and it would disappear, and I wouldn't know how to access that joy and that euphorium, the euphoria, again, and it would be impossible for me to understand how to get it back. But now I know how to access it normally, and to find the things that bring that joy out of me. And podcasting is one of them. Obviously, I've spoken about this many times. I will do this for free, for no money, for a very, very long time, until I get bored of it, basically, until I'm staring at the clock, counting down the seconds where I'm like, oh, how long do I have to do this for? This is not why I'm doing it. I'm doing it because it brings me joy. And reading, writing, languages, these three things may not work for you, but they work for me, and they're habits that I truly enjoy doing. You may find that you want to do yoga. You may want to pick up, let's say you want to do some poetry. Let's say you want to do some argumentative speaking, for instance, by, debating with people. These are things that, for me personally, I'm not going to go and do. I mean, I do yoga, but point being is that you may find a habit that I may not do, but you may get the most out of it. And this is what it's about. It's about maximizing your joy for that and your ability to implement these and habitually do them. So, writing, reading, languages, reduction of alcohol in my life, which has truly been a joy. I cannot tell you more than that. I think that the reduction of alcohol has made, also, no one tells you this, your finances will go up. You'll realise that when you go out with friends, when you go out with people, you won't be spending as much, because alcohol costs a lot of money. And it's a realisation when you go out for dinner with friends, when you go out with dinner with family. If you are drinking, you can't drive. I mean, I don't drive anyway, but point being is that you can't be the responsible one, basically. And I like being the responsible one. I like being the person who can lead the pack. And that is something that I take joy from. So I'm not going to take that away from myself by drinking. Like I said, I've given myself a few occasions to be able to do so. And the people I respect out there, while they do, some of them do drink, some of them don't. And it's a choice that we all make. And something that I have realised about myself is that I like myself more when I don't drink. And I like who I am as a person. And that's all that matters. And I don't judge those who I look up to just because they drink. I don't judge my friends because they want to drink. That's their choice. They may get the same amount of joy that I get from not drinking. And that's key. So, while I have a beer in hand here and I'm saying I'm not drinking, what I am doing is I'm allowing myself to understand when to implement drinking and when not to. Not to sound like I'm Professor Brag-a-lot. My God, I've got it so together. I feel like 1 o'clock, dinner with me. It's not that. I'm trying to get across the sort of joy that you can get from you doing things for you and truly having that consistency and that joy within that consistency. I don't talk about this a lot. I don't talk about these little things very often. I don't think that, one of the things that I have realised is that friends and family may not get the same sort of understanding or maybe the same joy that you get from your habits. And so you have to, I think the best way of putting it is to have that self-congratulations. And everyone around you may not get it, but you can see the big picture, and that's all that matters. So, reading, writing, languages, reduction of drinking. My fifth one, as you know, has been to work out rigorously. I think the total days I took off this year for not working out, so I worked out 7 days a week every day for the entire year apart from 2 days, One day I got the flu, and the other day I'd got my booster jab, and I was super tired after it, so I wasn't feeling it. I tried to work out, and I was just like, no, this isn't gonna work. So 2 days out of the year that I wasn't able to work out. I think there was a third for where I was with friends while I was in Bristol, and I couldn't get a workout done that day. But we did a lot of walking that day. It was like 3 hours of walking, so you could consider that exercise. Let's say 3. Let's say 3 days I took off throughout the entire year. So there was 365 days. 362 of those I worked out. And for me, that consistency again allowed me to realize how much the human body can take. A lot of people say that you should have a rest day and all of these things, and if I'm honest, I think it's a load of rubbish. I think that it allows you to get into this bad habit of you taking days off when you feel tired. And what you truly need to do is just find an alternative to what you're doing. What a lot of people think when, for instance, a lot of the people who are saying take days, rest days, are the types of people who are going to the gym, deadlifting, squatting, doing bench press, and they're wondering why their body's falling apart. And it's because you're not alternating with different types of exercise. You need to be able to, if you're just hitting the gym, you will find that you're going to want to take off more days because you're just hitting those muscle groups. You're just hitting the same part of your body over and over again. You're hitting your whole body, don't get me wrong. If you're doing, for instance, like me, where you do half of your body twice a week every week, then yes, you're hitting your body, but you're hitting it with the same movement, the same repetition, the same weights. Your body needs to be shocked into different ways of exercising, and that's why I combine mine with running. So running's extremely different to weightlifting. It is probably the complete opposite of weightlifting, and that is why for me personally it's worked so well, is I combine the two of them. I do 3 days of running and then I do 4 days of weightlifting, and it allows me with a combination of stretching as well to not get injured and to not have to take rest days. By doing so, I may feel tired some days, and I may feel that I'm not going to get as good a workout in, but the majority of the time, I can get that workout in, and I can get a full hour of working out without having to stop. And that is true. This is the true consistency and the true power of working out. The mind starts to realize that you're not going to stop, and it adapts to that, and it adapts to your lifestyle. If you say to your body, I'm going to take rest days, it will start to realize that you will rest on, for instance, let's say you work out 3 days in a row and then you take the 4th day off. It will consider that 4th day as always a rest day. So if you try to work out on it in the future, you're going to find it really difficult to do so, and you'll be like, oh, it's because today is meant to be a rest day. You see, it's not meant to happen. Please. And the truth is that you haven't built that sustainability within yourself to get through that rest day. So, build consistency. Don't listen. I mean, for instance, if you've this is a big thing as well. A lot of people say rest days as well because they're creating these unsustainable workouts where you're friggin', and I've done them myself, don't get me wrong. I'm not trying to say I'm perfect. I did the exact same thing. I'd go in and I'd lift a friggin' ton of deadlifts and I'd squat heavy, and then I'd be like, why can't I bend over and pick up my keys, and it's because I was going too hard and not allowing my body to be able to recover from it. And I was getting minimum sleep and minimum food intake because I was really strict on myself. So you need to have a combination. Have that in mind. If you're thinking of implementing in your new year a workout regime, make it sustainable, make it consistent, and make it enjoyable. Damn, that's the main thing. Enjoy it. This is you trying to get in good shape. This is you trying to be a better you. And that's all we're asking for in this lifetime. I think that's it, isn't it? You want to be better than you. And that is all that matters. I'm consistently trying to do that. I am going out of my way to do that. I am going out of my way to better myself as a human being. Day in, day out. And no one else may notice it, but I will always understand it. Right here. in my heart. And that's the key. So, working out, reading, writing, languages, reduction of alcohol, running 1,000 miles. I've talked about that earlier. That for me was a great achievement. This year I'm going to try and my friend Jordan Green always says, there is no try, there is, quoting Yoda, there is no try, there is do or do not. And I think it's really true to some extent, because there are some things, as I said earlier, with reading, where you do take something that is arduous and isn't worth completing, and you will throw it away. And I think that's, you do or you do not. There is no try. So I'm going to get at least 1,250 miles this year. I'm going to get that. And it will happen, because I'll make it happen. Because I will break it down. I will get the numbers. I will understand how many miles to do in a week. And I will crank them out. And I will stretch more. And I will work out in a certain way which will allow me to do that. And I will lift heavier weights. And I will get more reps in. And it's just by understanding that I have the capability mentally to be able to do so. And you do too. It's just having that desire, that want, that need to get these things done. If you do not want to get in shape, you will not get in shape. If you do not consider yourself an athlete, you will never be an athlete. If you do not consider yourself a healthy person, you will never be a healthy person. If you do not consider yourself a not fat person, or if you consider yourself a fat person, then you will forever be a fat person. Do you understand? I hope you do. Because it's important to understand that you are you, and you have the power to be able to make yourself better. Better. Two T's in that. Two T's. So, point being is that having a sustainable regime and understanding that you can break it down into small chunks makes that big task feel a lot smaller. So, running, weightlifting, reading, writing, languages, reduction of alcohol. What's next? I think for me, from 2021, I think it was a tough ride for me in work-wise. I'm looking to revitalise my desire to be in the industry. And I think I'm going to do some contracting at some point throughout this year once I've done some travelling. But we'll see. I'm not going to make this a part of my resolution, because it's a very different part. I've done for the past 7, I'm 26 now. Since I was 19, I've been in and out of the IT industry. I've been working. I've done a degree in computer science. I got first class in that computer science. I did all of these things, and I'm now at this point where I've built this foundation, and I'm like, I need to reflect. I need to take some time to figure out what I truly want to do with that in the future, because while I've built this foundation, it now gives me the chance to step back and really think where to take the next step in my career. Because one thing I have noticed is that just by grinding through all of the work, you don't take that moment to really figure out if you're enjoying the process. And I now understand when I am truly happy and when I'm not. And last year was really difficult with the work that I did. And not to say that I wasn't part of the problem, but it's also the environment you're in. So if you are someone like me who's, extroverted to some extent, then you'll find it very difficult to work from home. And I didn't realize it at the time. I've always thought of myself as somebody who can work from anywhere. But I am a people person. So you have to incorporate some of that to your life. So to have regular contact and not to be isolated in some way or another. And to also feel like an adult in the industry. It's very important to feel like you have control over your own work and how you do things, and that you don't feel that you are undermined by other people. So there will be, I want to make some changes in my career. I will look into that, and that will be something that I will be looking into over 2021. I am working at the moment. A lot of the writing I'm doing for my book that I'm writing at the moment is for myself. The coding that I'm doing is for myself, but it's not making money, so there is that. So while I have talked about doing coding for other people, and going out that I haven't really put the effort in. So that may be something that I can make as a resolution to myself to look into that area. But at the moment, financially, I'm stable. I'm not looking to spend too much time coding for other people. I want to get into this space where I'm just coding for myself and enjoying that process and revitalizing that part of my life. So that was a big lesson from 2021, is that sometimes you may not do jobs for people you actually want to work for, or like, for that matter. And it's a very difficult process to go through, but it's, like I said, life's ups and downs, and last year was a roller coaster ride of things. COVID didn't help, let's be honest. A lot of the rules that were implemented through COVID and the lockdowns and the lack of contact with people, it did cause some issues within a lot of people's lives. So to take from that is to understand that 2022, we want to be able to live alongside COVID, to be able to work towards a new way of living, and to take the goals that we can do and do them. And if we can't do other things, then we can't, and it's out of our control, and to understand that. So as well as working out, reading, writing, running, languages, reduction of alcohol, creating a great working environment, one of the other ones that I've truly tried to incorporate, I've talked about it many a time on this podcast, is meditation. Meditation for me has allowed me to just disconnect from this reality sometimes. And I don't mean that in a negative way, I mean it in a positive way. Sometimes you have to look within and focus on just breathing. And I think one day I will take some time, a year or so, to go and spend some time at a Shaolin monastery, because I think it's really important to have this achievement in your life of where you just spent your time working towards your inner self, your soul, your whatever religion you are, whatever beliefs you have. I think that sometimes we need to spend some time just focusing on those. I don't mean all the time, because you don't want it to take over your life, but just taking a year to focus on something other than the overall goal, the overall, want to achieve your dreams and all of these things. Take a year to separate, and I will do that at some point. It is a financial thing you have to do as well, where you have to save up a load of money to do it, and because you're disconnected from the rest of the world and you're staying somewhere else. But that really interests me, and that will be part of my future at some point. But to meditate allowed me to really understand how much I focus on the outside world, the external, how my thoughts can really take over who I am as a person, and how I let my inner demons control what I think and what I say. And it's very difficult to quieten that voice unless you meditate. And if you combine it with all of those 7 things that I've talked about so far, is that you allow yourself to collect and really understand where those thoughts and where they're coming from, and where your insecurities are, and how you can avoid those insecurities and hopefully not place them on other people. And it can be like that, because when you are in COVID and you've for instance, you're with your family, it can feel like the world is slowly but closing in around you. And I don't think that's true at all. I think that the truth is that you project what you're feeling, and you allow those thoughts to spread like wildfire because you're not tackling the problems from within. And if you don't tackle those issues, they will grow, and you will start to resent the people around you. And by doing so, you cause yourself problems, because you have this inability to be able to control the world around you and control the world within you. Meditation will help that. I think for me, it helped me connect spiritually, but also helped me connect with my mind a little bit more. So yeah, a little bit, again, a lot of this stuff I'm saying, I'm not going to keep saying it, but it is a little bit cheesy, and I'm not going to apologize for it, because it's also true. So meditation is definitely something that I love doing. And as I've said in other podcasts, I love putting some Star Wars music in the background and using my mantra of I'm one with the Force and the Force is with me. And it works for me. And it may sound silly, but it works for me. And it makes me feel very at ease and positive as well. And feel that, when you have a really good exhale, you're like, that moment there. That moment where you exhale and you can feel the stress of the world around you just disappear. That's what Star Wars music and the combination meditation works for me in. And when I'm on my roll mat, when I've rolled out my bed and I'm sat there cross-legged and having that music in the background and the cool air come into the room, it allows me to truly connect with who I am. So, yeah, that's. I think that's the majority of the main things I wanted to cover for those sort of things that I learned from 2021. I think for 2022, the main things for me is to travel where I can. So like I said, habits that are achievable this year. So I have seen the possibility of traveling. I went to Geneva, as I said. I will be exciting times from this podcast. I will be traveling to Mexico on Wednesday. So I will be going to Mexico from Wednesday. So the next podcast will be in Cancun. And I will look forward to talking about my experience there and the different culture and my time there, and hopefully have a nice background for the next video. And for those listening, I will try and give the best analysis of the area around me and to talk about that. So I'm looking forward to doing that. And as well as doing things that are uncertain, like traveling, I will continue to do my 7 strong foundations of habits that I've formed over the past 2 years. I will continue to do those because they can be done anywhere, and I will try my best over the next. Sorry, I used try again. I will over the next year look to. I would say make new friendships, but I don't think that's the goal. I think for me personally is to make new experiences, so make new memories. That's one of them, because I always cherish the memories I have of past experiences that have made me smile, or I think about them and then they give me that warm, tingly feeling where you just feel good about yourself. So I'm looking to make those. I will meet new people, but the thing is, people come and go, and you live with yourself for the rest of your life. So I think it's more important to focus within and then just be a nice person to everybody and see who sticks around. And if they stick around, great. But if they don't, then you're not going to be let down in that way. So I think for me now, I'm just going out of my way to be a good person, to make those new experiences, and to really focus on finding out what I want to do in the future and take the time to figure that out. And if that means doing some contracting, or if that means doing some freelancing, or if that means just writing and running out of money by the end of the year because I spent it all on traveling and doing nothing, then so be it. But for me, it's just taking this time to do the things that I want to do. And use 2020 as a really good solid year for building more foundations and building more sustainable habits that are going to really help me mentally, but also help me physically, and continue to build the life that I want for the future, and hopefully make me a better person along the way. I hope you're getting something out of this. I hope you're understanding that for me, this has made me a very truly happy person, and I hope that you, the listener, although very few of you, I hope you get something out of it, and I hope that you too are forming strong foundational habits that will change your life and make you a better person too. So that's what 2022 is about for me. It's forming those new habits and continuing all the good ones that I've formed before. And as always, I will try my best to make these podcasts as entertaining as possible, and I will continue to pump one out every single week. Actually, that's another one I didn't talk about, is that I've done, I think I missed maybe 1 or 2 weeks. Yeah, 2 weeks. I missed 2 weeks out of the entirety of last year. And I can't remember why. I think it was purely because of where I was positionally wise, I think, or something along those lines. But it didn't matter. As long as I was banging them out, that's all that matters. That's all that matters, and it makes me very proud of myself knowing that I have the ability to do that. The editing every Sunday morning, the recording every Saturday night to be able to get it done. Even if I'm seeing friends, even if I'm going out, I made sure to be able to get it done. Because commitment towards something you love shows your commitment towards that love. So, this has been a Tell Us Tales podcast. This has been Chris's Corner. I'm your host, Chris Taylor, and this has been a New Year's resolutions podcast, episode 70. So, as always, I hope to see you this time next week. Bye now.